What's up, everybody? JP here with the Leprechaun Fantasy Workshop. This is episode 4 of our, crafting arts, tools, reviews, that kind of thing. And today I want to kind of go back to the basics of crafting. And for those, this is more for those who are starting out, or, maybe introducing some of you guys to something you haven't tried before. So we're going to be talking about the literal basic tools, the tools that I use frequently, the most often. I don't want to say the tools you can't live without, because I'm sure there's somebody out there who, I don't need nothing but my bare hands. But these are some of the things that I think are literally the ground, like the starting off what you want to have in your toolkit. So we're gonna get into it. It's again, I have multiples of a lot of these things, so it's not you have to have all this stuff, but and I'll kind of shout out where I got mine, that kind of stuff. So get right into it. So hopefully the camera's working today, because they're very finicky. Yep, one of them frozen. I'm sorry. Let's really quickly fix that, and because I don't know what's wrong with that. Stand by. Sorry, guys. You can already see the little tools we have in front of us, but the camera's frozen, so let's get that fixed. There we go. Sorry about that. Okay. So I have this little tool rack that I got off Amazon. I don't remember who I got it from, to be honest with you. But yeah, this tool rack's awesome, and it's got all my basic hand tools available. Some of this stuff I don't know exactly where I got it from, because I did buy a couple sets of modeling stuff. But just kind of going from left to right, just getting right into it. This is if you guys can see, it says nail decorator on it. This came in a tool crafting set, and it's almost like your own. I don't know if you can hear that, but it's almost like its own little hand rotary. Like if you guys know, I have a Dremel right here that's hanging up. It's like its own little hand Dremel. You could put a bit in there, a drill bit, some sort of grinder, something like that you can, with your hands, so you have that available. I don't use this as much as I probably should, just because I have a Dremel with a foot pedal and I can control the speed and that kind of stuff, so I use that. I'm spoiled. But this is a really good, useful tool to have. Just moving right on. This little guy, that's not a razor blade attached to that, but it's kind of close. If you look very, very, very closely, you can see the little teeth that are on there. This is a razor saw. And this thing's just awesome. If you're doing... camera froze again. I'm sorry. Sorry, guys. I'm going to get a new camera, I promise. I have several cameras, but this one is just so finicky. Oh, it's completely gone. Hold on a sec here. I don't know how it's not even registering anymore in the computer. Give me a second. If we can't get it up, I'll use the camera for my face. Trying the tried and true method of unplugging it and plugging it back in. And for everybody who's out there who's thinking, hey, I want to go streaming, I want to do streaming and that kind of stuff, this is what you get to deal with sometimes. The unexpected, stupid crap that just falls in your lap. That it's Murphy's Law, when everything's going right, there's an ambush right across the hill, right above the hill. Yeah, we lost that camera. So, I don't know what's going on. I'm just going to go to... let's do it this way. I'm really sorry, guys. And that one's frozen now, too. Good Lord God in heaven. I don't know what's going on. and now we have this camera. Good God. All right, I'm just going to do that. Holy shit. I'm sorry. So this is a razor saw. It has little, I mean, it's very, very, I'm not going to run my hand against it, but there is literal little razor teeth on there, and it's, Christ on a cracker, it's frozen again. I'm sorry. I'm fixing this right now. All right. So this little razor saw, the handle I got on Amazon, but you could get just the razor, like the razor blades, and it is like $5 a pack. But if you use Amazon, Google razor saw, you'll be able to find these in any like crafting store. Really good to have for model kits. They cut through the plastic of models like butter. So like some of the advanced modelers where you want to like, you know, install a trunk or something like that and actually have that, this is what you want to use to cut those panels out. If you want to adjust like model planes and do flaps and that kind of thing, this is the tool I would go to. Probably the biggest staple of all crafting that you have. I mean, you have to have this. It's a plain and simple. You have to have it. And I've got 3 here, I believe. So these are your Exacto knives, scalpels, whatever you want to call them. I do actually have a medical scalpel as well that I use for doing windows. When I'm doing the trim of a model car, I use the scalpel because I can replace the blade, and it is, you know, I didn't even feel that sharp. So I do have a couple. This came. I don't really use this guy. It's big and fat, and but it's. I got this in a set. And then I have an Excel, which is like I want to say like a bigger brand of a crafting hobby. And then this is just an off-brand Exacto. And then I have the medical scalpel that I bought. I keep that separate because it doesn't have a blade on it. The blades are hermetically sealed, and yeah. So yeah, you really do need an Exacto knife if you're going to be modeling. It's a must-have. If you're pulling stuff off of spruces and you want to remove the flashing, or you want to remove the seam lines, Exacto knife is one of the greatest tools that you can have. Another tool I wanted to give out to you or show you guys. I got 2 of them here, but these are like hand drills, and I call them hand drills. I don't know if there's another name for them. But how they work is you have your bit head, which works just like a regular drill. You open it, and as you open it, the claws will open up. The back end will spin. And so when you're holding it, you can hold it like this, and you can rotate it over and over and over and over again, one way or the other, depending on how your hand is. It is with one of these, actually the smaller one, this one, that I drilled the 2400 portholes. It's the Titanic build. So I didn't, I do have a Dremel, and you're like, well, why didn't you just use a Dremel, stupid? A Dremel, the high rate of it spinning heats the bit up, which melts plastic. So I like to use these whenever I can instead of using a power drill or something like that when I'm using something I know that's going to melt or have the potential to warp or something like that from the heat. So these are really great tools to have. And you wouldn't believe how often you do actually need these for the model car makers out there, or model makers just in general for building the plastic models, ships, cars, planes. Whenever you have the pegs that fit into each other, these you generally want to drill out the holes because oftentimes those won't fit flush. There's flashing on it or something else got made in the mold process when it was injected, and it just doesn't fit perfectly. So these are really good to get perfect fits every single time. So yeah. recommend having a hand drill. Speaking of spruces, going to go on our line for Exacto Knives. You want to have these cutters. I call them spruce cutters, but that's not what they really are. They're a flat edge cutter. So if you see that, they have almost like a wire cutter look to them, but they have a perfect flat line to them. And you just put these up against your part on the spruce and give it a good snip. Snippers, I mean, there's a bunch of names for them. I call them spruce cutters, but that's probably not, again, it's probably not the right term. But if you're looking for model making tools, these are going to be one of the first things that pop up in a feed. Really great things to use. I do tend to use a pair or keep a pair for cutting like metal type things, like if it's like not big metal or like that, but I use paper clips a lot in my buildings. So when I'm building something for 3D printing, so I'll use an example here that something I have this it's part of a tree house, but there's a doorway in there, and what I do is I 3D print a door, and I do have a number of 3D printed doors here. There they are, doors, different sizes, and this is from Printable Scenery. What they do is they make there's a hole in the top of this, and it runs the length of the door, and then you put your door in, and then you can slide for them, I think they intended to be a piece of filament, but I prefer paper clips because paper clips are metal. They're not going to warp, bend, anything like that. And I just then can glue them in, and the door will swing on its hinge for all of eternity, and it's a solid construction I don't have to worry about. I don't recommend using those cutters, like all of your pairs, for doing that. I would get a pair of cutters just to do that if you're going to do something like that, cutting into metal or cutting wire, just because I have seen it indent or dent my cutters, and all they still cut. You don't want to have that if you're trying to build a very well detailed model. So yeah, so that little piece out there. Kind of the next part, kind of still following the line of like the spruce, and I'm just gonna hold this whole thing up here because I have so many of them in different varieties. So if you see here, this row here, I have a ton of diamond files, like metal files that are. They say they have diamond in them, which when you buy them, I highly doubt it based on the price that you get them for. You can get a big 9-pack of these. I think I talked about them before from Harbor Freight. So here's one of the ones, and they're just different files with different. So this is a flathead like one. It's literally flat, and then boom. They have rounded edges. They have a whole variety, sharper points. It's just a huge variety of these. You want to have one for the different areas that you're going to. I don't use these for fine work, like when I'm trying to sand but these are great for hiding mold lines. They're great for getting rid of if there's any remaining flash or something like that from when I've snipped something off of a spruce. These are I want to say they're like 300 grit, maybe even less than that, maybe 60 grit. I mean, there's two different sets there that I showed you. So yeah, you want to have these files. They're really great. I think they're like $6 or $7 for like a pack of 9 of different variety at Harbor Freight. They sell multiple different ones of them, but I would definitely suggest getting a pack of those because they are really invaluable. Next part, again, I have a bunch of them, are what would be your tweezers, I have all metal ones. And like this set I actually got from a model making set, and these are really, really, really nice and more on the expensive side. While as you can pick up a set, these are a set from Harbor Freight, again. I think it was less than $10, and it's a set of all metal tweezers. There's lockable ones as well, which are so like this guy here you put pressure on, and then I let go, and now it's going to hold that piece in place. So they're very valuable, invaluable, I should say, for the purpose that, you know, they serve a ton of varieties of purposes. You can use them for a whole mesh of things. When you're trying to get a little piece and put it right in place, and you got your glue on it, that is what I would use to help put things together. Kind of keeps your fingers away from being glued to your project, that kind of thing. So I'm really sorry the camera's not working, guys. I'm trying to get the channel to not have these kind of stupid things, so I will be looking at getting a better camera after I get paid, and yeah. The next thing I want to talk about, so we got, you know, tweezers, you've got Exacto blades, you've got, you know, your cutters, that kind of stuff. Another really great tool, and these are more like dental tools. It's got a plastic cover because I don't want to stab myself all the time. So again, Harbor Freight. These are little pokers, you want to call them. I mean, they're dental picks, really. But you can use these to move things into position. You can use these to try and, you know, clear out a little bit of glue in there. You can, you know, if I'm doing a windshield on a model car and I need to put pressure in a very specific point, these things are great. And they come in a giant value pack. I think there's like 6 to 10 of them. I have a crap load of them. And all different heads to them, different angles, different, you know, blah, blah, blah. And it's a way for you, again, for you to be less hands-on on your model, so you have less chance of, one, gluing yourself to it, but two, it allows you to get into those spots that are hard to reach, hard to move, that kind of thing. And, I mean, you could even, these things are metal, so it's something that you could even, if you wanted to do it, you could put your liquid cement, your super glue, and almost use it as an applicator to get to a very specific pinpoint spot to glue something else up. So a lot of different applications to these. Really, really great tool. You gotta, I mean, I highly recommend them. And again, the last 3 things, the files, the tweezers, and these things, the picks, you can pick these up at Harbor Freight for under $30, all 3 of them in one go. Really great tools to use. And I use them every day, all the time. Like every time I'm building something. Fine screwdrivers. You don't really use these so much on, obviously, when you're building models, because, you know, you gotta have screws and that kind of stuff. But I do keep them in my kit. I had to use one of these screwdrivers to put together the actual rack in which all of my tools sit on. So they're just good to have if you're building something. I've never built a Gundam, but I think they're all snapped together, or some of them are, I don't know. But having little screwdrivers, that kind of stuff, are really invaluable too. After I got my picks, that kind of thing, I stopped using screwdrivers and flatheads to try and move stuff, because the picks serve a better purpose. But having a small screwdriver, that kind of stuff, it's depending on what your model make. I mean, if you're into building watches, you're definitely going to need micro screwdrivers and that kind of stuff. So, pair of, kind of going back to the pliers, pair of needle nose. You definitely want to have a pair of needle nose. Again, these things are pretty cheap. You can find them anywhere. And whenever I get all of my screwdrivers, grips, all that kind of stuff, I do have, they're all springed, so I don't know if you can see inside, there's a spring in there, so when I grab it, it lifts up on its own. I would recommend, if you don't have those kind of sets in your tools, go get those. They serve a lot better purpose, and you're not sitting there with your hand trying to, I gotta lift it up, and trying to be all dexterous while you're trying to focus on moving, you know, the world's smallest piece into the right place, that kind of stuff. So these are really good. I don't recommend getting a set of needle nose that if they have like a cutter or a stripper in the middle or something like that. Get a separate tool for that. You don't need multi-tools and that, like when you're making models. You want to have one tool to one function, that kind of thing. This tool is really, really kind of cool. And it's not a razor knife or like that, but it looks like one. And what this does, this is from Tamiya. It's called the Plastic Scriber Ii. It's engraved on here. And what you use with this is it literally inscribes in plastic. So let's say you're building a model airplane, and the mold line of your model airplane is not crisp. It's not like it. You want the lines to clearly show, because how airplanes are built, the aluminum ones, the World War II, that kind of stuff, is it's a number of facets of metal put together and then riveted together, and then so each one of those plates is a separate entity. Well, this will help you define the lines in between those plates if the mold lines are not. I mean, when they recast these and shoot these molds over and over and over and over again, you can lose some of that detail. This will help you clean up that detail. And so it's a razor sharp little tip there, and you can just drag it in. I don't have one of them, but it's also from Tamiya. I have it on order. It's been on order for like a month. I don't have any model airplanes I'm working on right now, but I very much want to tear into P-51 Mustang. And I should mention with the Tamiya, there is a really cool, there's a little compartment with more blade. I don't want to flip it upside down, but there's more blades inside. So this thing is the plastic Scriber Ii. But there's another tool from Tamiya. It actually looks just like this. And I locked it. Sorry. When you raise up the blade, instead of coming out with a blade, it has a little wheel with a ton of sharp points on it, almost like a medieval torture device. And that tool is a riveter. If you've ever seen one, if you're a model airplane maker, and when I say model airplane, I mean the stuff that modern. If you're building like the wooden, Wright Brothers flyer, that you don't need that tool. But for anything in the modern world that's got rivets in it, I recommend getting one of those tools. It's on a handle like this, and it'll have a little metal wheel, and you'll often have, I would say, go for the sets that have multiple wheels, just because the wheels, the needle points at those wheels are spread out to a different size model, whether you're doing a 72 scale, a 24, 25 scale, and how it works is you're trying to add detail to your model. You run that across the wing, the fuselage of an airplane, and those sharp metal teeth parts will indent and make it look like there's rivets in the model. And a lot of models have the rivets. They're meant to be molded in, but they're just not clean and they're not clear. And so you can use that tool to make that happen, and it'll make your model all the better. So that's another tool. I've had that on order forever, and so I ordered mine on Amazon from Tamiya. It's not that Tamiya's sending it to me, so I don't blame them. But a lot of things are going on in the world today, so there's some, I give that up to the delay. But I have had it recently, a couple model tools that I've ordered, or a couple model paints, that kind of stuff. Just never came to me. So it's a hit or miss, but I order a lot of stuff on Amazon. So, and then the last thing, I don't know where I think maybe Harbor Freight. These tools kind of fall in the line of our picks. I don't know what to call these things. Pushers, movers. They are just like picks. They're heavy metal, but they have almost like you'd be great for sculpting. So like if I'm doing green stuff, if you know what I'm talking about, you have a yellow side and a blue side, you mush it together, it turns green, and it's almost like a plastic putty that will harden in a couple hours, and then you can sand it, mold it, that kind of stuff. I used it for the build for my dad for the car for his birthday, and I used it to build the air scoop to his car, because his car had a very unique and distant scope. So what I use these for, like I said, is to push, press, and model, define. You could also use it for helping you glue up stuff. So I recommend these tools highly to add to your kit for making stuff. I've got a whole bunch of them. I'm not just showing you all of there's more than 4 that I have. Most of them are double-sided. And so, fall in the line. There's some picks that I have that are double-sided. this guy, he's got an actual sharp blade on it, so I could even use it to try and cut something. Not that I would do that. I've got better tools for that. But yeah, these things are great, invaluable, and you want to have the right tool for the job while you're trying to make something. It's just something that you can, when I'm making something, I want to have the tools available to me, quickly, easily retrievable, and it helps the process. That's the big key. You don't want to be spending all your time looking for a tool, or have to stop what you're doing to go and order something because you didn't have the right thing. Like for instance, like I said, if I was building a model airplane right now, I would want to make sure that I had a scriber. I would want to make sure that I had a riveter tool in my toolbox, tool tray, so that I could work on it. Because if you don't have that, and you're like, well, I can tell you right now, from my personal perspective, if I don't have the tool, I'm just going to skip that step and build the model, and it's all the worse for it. If you're spending, some of the models I've worked on, I've spent so much time on it. It's just, and speaking of, you watched our live stream painting. This is not the end result, but this is the result of the build, because I did a lot more painting after the stream ended, because I don't think you guys want to watch me paint for 5-6 hours. So, and all the towers are done. There's pictures online. But if I didn't have the right paint to do this, I would have just skipped it and gone on, because I don't want to put anything on hold. I'm doing it right now. I'm going to do it. I'm going to finish it. So I would recommend, having the right tools for the job. And then there's the storage of the tools, which I kind of showed you before we lost the camera. So, but, I have this wonderful rack. All the tools I've shown you fit in this rack, and it's easily portable, easily movable, easily. I have it sitting on a shelf right next to me when I'm working, and I can have it away from me, and then I can just grab it when I'm doing models, so it's easily retrievable. And I like this versus a toolbox, because if you're a toolbox person out there, I'm not knocking you. Toolboxes are cool, the big metal ones, snap on and all that kind of stuff. You feel like you're, building a real car. But having something like a tray in front of you, if you've ever seen all my paint racks, all my, those kind of things, I like to have everything out in front of me so I can see it and easily pull it out. Now, I have stuff in drawers and stuff, and the drawers are all highly, very labeled. But there's some things I don't need to just have on display or available to me, like Q-tips or sandpaper, or that's an easy, I know where it is, I need to have a drawer full of it. But when it comes to the tools, if I'm working and that kind of stuff, I can have this here and go, oh, I need this, and grab it, and I'm into it. I never leave the model. I never have to really take my hands off of it. So that's kind of the thank you, Nick, for letting me know about the mug. Welcome to the stream. So yeah, guys, and I do apologize for the delay of getting things up and running. I actually got to leave for work here in the next 10 minutes. So when I went to get the stream started today, my computer told me that I needed to do not a reboot, upgrade or whatever. So it took me a few minutes to get that set up. So, and you can see the camera problems we're having. So, and I do apologize for that. Like I said, that's going to be the first order of things to the shop in the very, very near future. So, a soldering iron. Actually, you know what? Well, I wasn't going to talk about that, Nick. I wasn't going to talk about that. But since you brought it up, I do have a soldering iron. So here's my soldering iron set. That'll be something I'll probably talk about later when we're doing flashing. So this thing's actually awesome. $50 on Amazon. You got your soldering. You got your cleaner. You've got sponge for cleaning it. You've got different bit heads. Very, very cool. Very, very easy. So got soldering iron. But for this stream, I mean, other than the little nail file Dremel to tool. Everything else I wanted to kind of go over today was more of a hand tool versus something you have to plug into the wall. I do have a Dremel, which I will talk about sometime too, probably. Dremel's also, I mean, I'm not saying you have to have a Dremel to get things done, but a Dremel is it's a awesome, powerful weapon in the world of trying to get models made. I would always side on the side of caution if you're going to use a Dremel, especially on like car models, those kind of things. I would never sand a model like a boxed model with a Dremel. But 3D printed stuff, oh absolutely, I use a Dremel all the time, and I'll sand the living bejesus out of them. But that's specific areas and things I'm trying to do, just because it's the right tool for the job. You'd never use a sledgehammer to knock a nail into a piece of wood. I don't feel ashamed, Nick. I like to be a well planned out, and like I said, first order retrievable. I like to be able to grab whatever items I need immediately. So it's not that I bested you. I'm just Boy Scouts, well prepared, all that kind of stuff. So. All right, guys. Well, I will cut it here. And again, I'm sorry about the cameras not functioning how they should. We'll be working on that. This thing is I want to get a better one, and I want to be able to zoom in on this one. So, but I already have a DSLR, which is the one you're looking at right now. I'll have to look at webcams. If you've got an idea, send me a link or something like that of a webcam I can zoom, and it's not gonna freak out because I hit it with my head or I bumped it or something like that. So, but all right, guys. Well, this is JP at the Leprechaun Fantasy Workshop. Keep crafting. Let your paintbrush tell its story. I will see you guys in the next one. If you hit me up in the links, comments, please follow. Let us know what you want to see next. What tools, what things you want us to talk about, that kind of stuff. I'm here for you guys, and we're still very much crafting. All the 5 3D printers are running right now. All the Ender 3s are printing, so a lot of things coming. Plus, we've still got the semi-tractor trailer, the 53-foot trailer reefer, and we still got the 32 Ford build. We got the Titanic build. There is a lot of stuff going on in the shop. It's a lot of fun, a lot of things going on. So I will see you guys in the next one. You guys have a good night. I got to work third shift tonight, so I'll see you. Got to be a vampire.